What's up, guys? Go grab you a cup. Let's talk for a second. Real quick shout out. If you know, you know. Somebody who makes gear for a living and has done my fair share of training, and I am by no means at all whatsoever an expert or an authority. Put that out there up front. So the thoughts that I'm about to give you are just that. They are my thoughts and nothing else, and they are worth exactly what you have paid to watch them. As somebody that makes gear and is trained, who has been blessed with some very, very well experienced and well trained close friends that are like brothers, of whom I can draw knowledge and experience from. There are things that I see going on I think are really hurting people. Yes, fellas, y'all been quiet forever, and I start recording. They like to talk. I don't know why. There are things I see people doing that I think they're doing themselves a misservice. And there are people that perpetuate this. Because, and here comes that. Because why? Reasons. There are people who set up their gear based off of what they see on forums, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And it's usually copying people who are solely square range instructors, guys who love to flash you with their awesomeness of videos of them blazing through the range, just hosing down targets, and how fast they are and awesome their gear is, when they leave out all kind of context points. And you guys know I will harp on context to the day I am put in the ground. They don't point out little things like, you know, that range that you see them doing their videos on all the time. It's their range that they run all the time. They know exactly where all the targets are at. They've got it down darn near to memory, right? People never like to point out the huge tactical errors that they make that a two-way range would get them deaded really, really fast. And the problem that I see with emulating all these guys is people setting their gear up specifically to do that job, but then thinking they're going to use it to do a different job. Using that stuff to look flashy and cool on a memorized square range is not the same as a 360-degree, multi-plane, multi-directional, real-world environment, especially places like that. You are not going to be doing, my opinion of some really smart people besides me, those same things the same way, and your gear's not going to be working the same way. And people don't differentiate between the guys that are just trying to look cool and show you their split times on Instagram with their speed reloads versus having to do stuff in the real world where there's a 99.999% chance your split times and speed reloads are going to be irrelevant. I'm just saying. What ends up happening is people copy that and then they perpetuate it and encourage others. I have personally seen people time and time and time again post online in multiple different places, not any one particular place, but I've seen it on a couple of different forums. I've seen it on YouTube, Instagram, multiple places. I'm taking a class from so-and-so, and it'll be like just a standard, general carbine class. How should I set my gear up? As always, you do you. But I'm just going to say from my standpoint, that's one of the worst things that you can ever do. It's also one of the worst things you could encourage somebody to ever do. I say, do not set your gear up specifically for a square range general carbine class from a specific instructor. Your gear is going to work more in conjunction with your tactics than they are the stuff that you're going to learn in a square range carbine class. Square range carbine classes are important. You should have them. You should take them. Okay? Absolutely. Because that's where you're going to learn things like marksmanship. Number one most important thing across the board. Number two, safe handling around other people and yourself. Manipulating the weapon. Clearing malfunctions. Loading and reloading. Those are all absolute fundamental things that you're going to learn in a square range carbine class. Your gear has no effect on any of that at all. None. So don't set your gear up for that class. People set their gear up because they want to look good in the class. They want to be able to be the fastest guy in class with their split times and their speed reloads. I think they won't admit it, but I think a lot of it's subconscious because they want to impress everybody else in the class. They want to impress the instructor. That's pointless. It's stupid. Don't do it. That's my recommendation. You're free to do as you please. Absolutely free to do as you please. For those of you who are open to listening, that's what I'm getting at. I don't have a single rig set up that I could go to a square range class and impress anybody with my split times and speed reloads. None. But that's because my rigs are set up for fighting out here as an armed prepared citizen. Not as a police officer, not as a SWAT officer, not as someone in the military, not as a CAG, SEAL, whatever, high-speed door kicker. My stuff's not set up for any of that. My stuff is set up to operate as an armed prepared citizen in a worst case scenario in my area. I'm not going to set my gear up for a class. Now, you can take your gear to class, and that is an opportunity to wring it out to a point, because you will find things that after having it on all day in a class, oh wow, yeah, okay, that's getting uncomfortable on this shoulder, it's rubbing right here. You'll find all those little things. So that's a good way to do it, of fleshing out your gear. You still got to get out there and use it in more realistic context, but using it in class like that is a good way. But don't set it up just for that class. set it up for what you actually intend to be doing, and then use it in the class. And then don't get frustrated if you think everybody else with their super low cut, high open top speed reload mag pouches is, you know, smoking you, because 99% chance that as an armed citizen, when things go bad, you're not going to be standing perfectly still at 10 or 15 yards in front of a perfectly still target that's not shooting back in the open. 99.9% chance you're not going to do that, and if you do, you probably won't do it more than once. You're going to be using cover and concealment. You're going to be using very awkward positions to shoot from, because the terrain in the fight's going to dictate that, not you. You are not going to want to stay in one spot very long. You're definitely not going to want to stay in the open. The people shooting at you generally are not going to just stand in the open. If they do, they'll only do it once if your marksmanship skills are up to par. They're probably going to be utilizing cover and concealment, or to be an over with fight pretty quick. They're going to be moving, because people typically don't like to get shot at. So setting up your gear just for that one little, you know, situation is a bad idea. Bad idea. I've referenced it before, but my good brother from another mother, cousin Dick, has pointed that out multiple times in videos that he's done. I've pointed it out in various, not in the exact same words, but in various words and situations. So this is not really so much for you guys that are already set up and doing it right. This is more for you guys that are maybe just getting started. Maybe you're just getting set up. Maybe you've already got set up, but you did that. You set a piece of gear up specifically for the square range rain class that you took, and now you're actually starting to get out and do some more stuff, and you're finding, this ain't working out so good. It happens, okay? It is what it is. Fix it and move on. For those of you that haven't yet, my goal points try to save you that mistake. Now again, I'm speaking in fairly general terms here, so I know some of you are going to want to hunt and peck and just away on the keyboard like mad right now. I can't cover every single potential scenario here in one video, because that's an unlimited number and I ain't got enough coffee. But generally speaking, that's what we're talking about. Set your gear up for what you intend to do. What is your terrain? What is your environment? Who are you going to be with? How many people are you going to be with? What's their level of skill? What kind of equipment do y'all have access to? What are you going to need to do? Are you working with some neighbors and friends to secure your semi-rural subdivision? Are you trying to secure your 10 acres out in a rural area? Are you working with a larger group to try to secure your 500-acre ranch retreat? Those are all very contextually different situations that only you can determine, but that's the things like that you need to be examining and looking at on how you're going to set up your gear and what you're going to be doing. Don't just copy the latest and greatest guy with his super fancy speed reload pouch and door kicking setup. I'll give you a prime example. This is gonna blow some minds right here. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. Guess what? You don't always have to have a handgun. I had people flip out in the past when I've said that. if you've got a functional rifle that you've gotten out and shot and tested, then chances are it's going to remain a functional rifle. Could something happen? Yes. I could get struck by lightning standing here making this video. It is a statistical chance that that could happen. I'm not exactly worried about it though. Number one, if it happens, there ain't much I can do about it. Number two, the odds are in my favor that it's not going to happen. Same with carrying a handgun. Why am I pointing that out? I'm using it as a specific example. I'd rather have my chest rig and the stuff to support my rifle, because if I'm in a fight, I want a rifle. I want my rifle to be able to keep getting fed. So if I've got to choose between the bulk and weight of a handgun and a couple extra handgun magazines versus a couple of extra magazines to keep my rifle running, or an extra couple of quarts of water to keep my body running, a little bit of extra food, a little bit of extra clothing, a little bit of whatever, I would rather have all those things over a handgun. If you just have a chest rig or an LBE set up and your rifle, and you can support and run that rifle, and you know it's functional, I have heard so many excuses as to why guys want to wear what they call a battle belt, which it ain't, but we're going to get into semantics there, and that's a whole nother video. And they have to have that handgun on to transition. Guys, if you're out there and you're in a fight and your rifle stops working, fix the rifle and get it going. You don't want to transition to a handgun out there, especially at rifle distances. You'd be better off just getting up and getting the heck out of Dodge than transitioning to a handgun. People have taken SWAT team, SEAL team, close quarter tactics and situations, which is a very narrow scope of situations, and tried to apply them to everything. And that ain't the way it works. Think about this. 95% of military infantry does not have a handgun. All people go into battle with is their rifle. That's it, with some exceptions. And those are very few exceptions in the grand scheme of things. So what I'm getting at with that is, don't copy other people just from square range stuff, just from very limited scope stuff. Most of us are not going to be doing, if, again, context, God forbid, the world goes to crap and we're having to use our gear and our guns for real and what they're intended for. Most of us are not going to be doing things that involve a handgun. It'll be one or the other. We'll either be wanting to use the handgun, and most likely it'll be in more of a concealed situation, or we'll want a rifle, which at that point, it's better to have a whole bunch of stuff to keep the rifle running. I won't keep going on. You get the idea. Don't set your gear up just for a square range class. Don't set it up just off of what you see the cool kids in the Final Faction doing on the interwebs. Okay. Thankfully, I'm seeing more and more knowledgeable, respected folks that are speaking up and starting to echo that same sentiment. So, if you don't want to listen to me on it, that's fine. Maybe one of them will resonate with you better than what I'm saying. Maybe it won't resonate at all. That's the great thing, is that you get to do you. Examine your situation, examine the context and points for yourself and your area, your people, yada, 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 and set your stuff up for that. Then go train with it. Make sense? I hope it does. I want you to be as best prepared as you can be for potentially bad coming times. That's my whole goal. Whether it's my gear, whether it's somebody else's gear, whether it's what I'm recommending or somebody else, whatever. I just want you to be the best set up for the situation that you can, and try to help you weed out all the white noise that keeps getting thrown at you, that is out of context for what we as armed prepared citizens are going to be most likely doing. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Get out there and train and get ready. I'll see you later.